Yeah, good.
Welcome everyone to the 2026 Tuftonboro Candidates Night. We never really know how many people are going to be showing on up. So we put out a moderate number of chairs and we tell everybody there are more chairs available, take one off. We thought we had more than enough. Obviously, we miscalculated. But there are chairs waiting for you in back.
Couple over here.
A couple up front.
And there are, okay, so a couple more up front. The Tuftonboro Association has been hosting Candidates Night for at least 20 years, probably closer to 30. And we really do appreciate everybody coming, especially the candidates who have agreed to run for office. We do have, really the start that we were going to provide was to offer for town people an opportunity to try to connect a face to a name when you go to vote. And to that end, even though it was a small town, it was nice to have somebody, particularly from the school board, who we don't really know all of the candidates all the time, but just give an opportunity to come, introduce yourself, why you're running, and then basically take a seat. Part of that is because we're not looking to provide debate. This is just an introduction. This is an opportunity for a candidate to say hello and give an idea of what they hope to accomplish. And if there are burning questions, well, okay, then go ahead and raise your hand and we'll try to get to you. In order to make sure that things move in a nice sequential fashion, we do have a moderator, and we're tonight by Andy Shaguri, who is the town moderator. And so he will be setting the time limit on how many people will be, or how long that people will get to speak. And I would ask those of you who are running unopposed to understand that you may only get about 60 seconds. Since you're already going to be winning, you can go ahead and say who you are and why you're running, and thank you very much. For those whose seats are contested, a little bit more time will be allotted. And otherwise, again, thank you all for turning out. The Tuftonboro Association is very pleased to hold this. This is one of our bigger events that we would provide for the town. Our flagship would be the Tuftonboro Times, which you all find in your post office box 4 times a year, courtesy of our editor. And again, thank you, and let's enjoy Candidates Night. And I'll take this time to introduce our moderator, Andy Shaguri. And Andy, I'll leave it up to you. What's that? Yes, go right ahead.
Okay, we're going to start by pledge allegiance to the flag. It's over in this corner. All stand, get your hats off, please. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I think it's great to see so many people turn out and also so many candidates to show up. This is part of our grand experiment in democracy, right? And town meeting is the perfect example of democracy. So there are a few here that are candidates that I do not have on I have a list, but not on the list that had responded earlier. So if you don't hear your name called, please don't be ashamed to stand up. I may actually go through the list here a little bit differently. And we don't have a microphone, so you're gonna have to speak up, and I'll ask everybody to kind of keep the dull roar down so people can be heard. We'll start out with an uncontested race for library trustee. Eileen Leavitt, please. Introduce yourself and welcome.
Hi, I'm Eileen Leavitt. I'm very disappointed to know I only have 60 seconds. And I'll run as fast as I can. I am interested in being a library trustee because my life was shaped by libraries. I was a reading specialist and literacy coach in the school district for over 40 years. I was a library trustee in Albee for over 20 years. I was president of the New England Reading Association, which promoted literacy. I love this library. My husband Ken and my granddaughter play cribbage every Tuesday night here, and every Saturday morning I'm part of the writers group. I love this library. I appreciate the vote. Thank you.
Town Clerk, Jennifer Coulter. There you are.
Hello.
Saw you sitting in at the end.
I snuck in. Hi, everybody. I am happy to be here, and I'm very pleased to be running unopposed. So. I look forward to serving you for another 3 years. I love this town. I love my job. So thanks so much.
Is Jackie Rollins here? Yeah, I didn't see her. I was wondering. Alana Albee here? Okay. A couple of them I knew are unopposed. Peter Sluski, I didn't see him either, so it's going down through. So, Budget Committee. There are a couple things for Budget Committee. There's a Budget Committee for 3 years. You have to vote for 2. We've got 3 candidates for that position. And so for that position, we have Gary Chehames. Gary, come on down. And Eloise said to keep it a few minutes. I'm not going to necessarily watch the
60
clock
seconds won't
closely.
do.
Well, you're contested, so I'll allow some questions too,
Yeah.
if that.
Well,
So-
good evening. My name is Gary Chehames, running for what would be my second term, the second time that I was on the Budget Committee. Excuse me, third term of the second time. First time I ran for Budget Committee was about 10 years ago, and I served 2 terms on that. At the time, I was chairman of the Budget Committee, and I lost my re-election bid by 2 votes. So speaking of votes, I would very much like to have your vote. Why I do this? My occupation and all the time that I've been here in Tuftonboro, I've just tried to give. It's the role that I feel comfortable in, and I enjoy the reward of at least trying to do some good. My background from when I worked was with budget formation, with some rather large numbers, and I dealt with a lot of personalities in doing that. And so I feel that I've got some background and some experience in doing that. And if you'll have me, I'll be happy to continue trying to do that for our Budget Committee coming up. Let me just tell you a little bit about the Budget Committee. This year and last year were particularly important years. We are switching over slightly in terms of how we fund expensive items that require setting aside capital reserves. We feel that that's going to save us an enormous amount of money on interest costs because the town, in working with the Capital Improvements Committee, does have the capacity to put aside a nominal amount of money to have ready for when large assets have to be replaced. So rather than stepping up and having to finance these things, we should have the money at about the time that we're ready to make the actual purchase. And of course, I'm talking about most of the equipment in the fire department, which is where the heavy expenditures are. I'd like to continue doing that, and I think it's going to require having people on the Budget Committee that have some experience in setting it up and continuing it. I'll be happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you, Gary.
Great. Thank you.
And for the same 3-year term, we, Travis Cummings, I did not see him here. So I guess we got Max Ledoux. Come on down, Max. Just so everybody knows, this is being recorded, so try and keep the voice up and be respectful of the people talking and keep it down.
When I went into file, I told Jen, I'm gonna run for office. And she said, you better not be running for town clerk.
Thank you.
I'm Max Ledoux, I am running for the Budget Committee. My taxes have doubled in the last 10 years. I moved here in 2014, like 11 years. And I hear a lot of people grumbling and expressing frustration on Facebook. And that's great to share your opinion, and I even have myself expressed frustration. But Facebook doesn't really matter. So I want to get on the board so that I can try to keep our taxes from doubling again in the next 10 years. I think that at town meeting there are a lot of warrant articles that get passed that I don't think we need. I think we need to spend money on the roads, fire department, the police department. Oh wait, I should put the transfer station first actually, because we really need the transfer station. So those are the things, and there are many other things that we don't need. So I would ask for your vote.
There's a question over there.
Yeah, I'd like to hear more about what you think we don't need and what you think we do. Because you just named the basics of life. So
Question is, what don't we need? And
Yeah.
you said what we need, so now the question is, what don't we need? You
We
raised it.
did not need another police station. We did not need the building the room that we're standing in. We had a really nice little library. A lot of you wanted a bigger library, and that's okay for you to want things. Okay? I'm not quibbling with your desires. We did not need a bigger building. That's my opinion. We didn't need to create a public park at Central Park with a walkway and 24-hour lighting. That did get voted down or did not pass at town meeting, but that was the proposal last year or the year before. And you know, we live in a beautiful town and we all have backyards, so we don't need to spend money on building 24-hour lighted walkways, although that would certainly be nice. So those are some examples of things that I think we don't need. If you agree, please vote for me. If you don't, that's okay. I'd also like to put in a good word for Travis. He runs the Refuge Barbecue, and he did not come tonight because he was open until shortly before this started and has been working all day. He runs a small business. I think that he would be a very good member of the Budget Committee. So please vote for him as well.
Thank you. Oh, you have another question?
Yes. What is your experience with finances?
I'm an adult and I run my house, so I do follow what we do a lot here in town, which is have a capital reserve fund. So I have recurring expenses like we all do. Like I spend $1,800 a year on firewood, so all year round I'm putting money away so that it's not a big hit. So that would be an example.
Thank you. And then we have two people running for a 2-year term. We'll start with Jill Cromwell.
In case I forget something.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Jill Cromwell. I've lived in town for 18 years. And for those of you who don't know me at all, I'll tell you a little more of my background. It's pretty varied. I have a BA in economics from Bucknell University. I was an operations analyst for 2 major insurance companies. I was director of capital information and tours at the Connecticut State Capitol for 15 years. I refereed field hockey for 26 years. I was the development coordinator at Castle in the Clouds for 12 years. That's my work history. As far as community service goes, I've been PTO president, local League of Women Voters president, state board of the League of Women Voters, elected member of the Board of Education for 12 years, chairing it for 4 years, co-founder and president of a education foundation. I was on the Tuftonboro Capital Improvement Programs Committee for 14 years, and I chaired it for the last 10 of those years. I'm president of the Hikers Club, which is the local women's club. that doesn't hike, in case you don't know about us. I'm a member of Melvin Village Community Church, and I've been on the Willing Workers Hall Revitalization Committee and chairing the fundraising for that. So I've had pretty wide experience here in town. On the Capital Improvement Program Committee, I've worked really hard to establish the capital reserve accounts, which Gary mentioned. And we've really made a lot of progress in the last couple of years on doing that. If I was on the Budget Committee, I would make sure that we keep funding those. It's really important now that we've set them up to fund them at the proper amounts so that we don't have swings in the budget. The Capital Improvement Program was designed, to do a 10-year plan and try to even out our capital expenses over that 10-year period and keep our tax rate, kind of even instead of spiking when we needed things. So I would certainly work to keep that going. I'm really detail oriented, so I would review everything in the budget. And I have gone to the budget public hearings for the last several years. There's about 2 of us from the public that ever go to those. But it's really interesting to know what we're spending our money on. I do feel that it's public money and we need to be efficient and be conservative with public money. So I would look to do that on the budget committee. So I hope you'll vote for me.
And Lloyd Wood is also running for the same office.
I'm sorry, we missed his name.
I'm Lloyd Wood. I was born here in Tuftonboro, grew up here, went through the school system. My background is public safety. I've worked in public government all my life. And when I moved back, retired and moved back to Tuftonboro, I've served on a number of different committees, as selectman, budget committee, a lot of the other committees like conservation. John Sims drafted me for the first CIP committee, and CIP is part of the planning function and allows flexibility. We've already used it in this town for betterment easements, and we've built some roads. My background is I went to the University of New Hampshire, was in political science, and switched from engineering to public administration, and then I went and got my master's degree in that. Question: what is unique about Tuftonboro that was just in the news? We're the fastest growing community in the state for the second year in a row. That's a positive because people are moving to Tuftonboro for the same reason why we live here. Matter of fact, someone said, have you lived here all your life? And I said, not yet. Not like that. What I'll tell you is the budget process is important. And I consider that I want to be the type of guy, and was in the past, that I want to make sure that your tax dollar is invested wisely.
Questions? All right, thank you, Lloyd. So the next we have down here is moderator position. Mark, you want to come up and address? Mark? Come on. Is it Mulert?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mueller, good. Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm Mark Mueller, and I'm running for the town moderator position. Thanks for coming here tonight. When some friends encouraged me to run for the town moderator position, I was interested in serving the community, so I looked into that role to see what that involved in more detail. And it's the role of chief election official. It's moderating the town meeting, and it's about managing the elections and certifying the election results. And I think anyone who's going to fill that role needs to have some attributes. One of them is they need to be impartial. It's an apolitical position, so you need to just be fair and deal with the issues that come up, and it's not a political position. That person needs to have integrity, because the town needs to trust what that person is doing, trust their actions and their words. And that person needs to be dedicated, because you better show up for those days. That's happens. And I really feel like I'm well suited for that role. And if I'm in that position, I really promise to ensure that our elections and town meetings are conducted responsibly, that anyone who has anything that they would like to say has a chance to speak up and will be heard, and that all the residents are treated with respect. So a little bit about myself, my wife Lee, sitting here, and we lived year-round on Tuftonboro Neck, and I've been coming to Lake Winnipesaukee every summer since 1982. We live here full-time, and I'm here because I love the lake, the loons, the hiking, boating, fishing, kayaking, the mountains, the wildlife, everything about this place, I love it. And because of that, I've been really committed to getting involved in the community. I want my kids and grandkids to have the same sort of experiences that I've had, and I want that to continue into the future. So I've really dove into volunteer activity, things that I'm involved in right now. I'm commissioner on the Conservation Commission, Tuftonboro Conservation Commission. My friend Steve recruited me. Steve also recruited me for being a volunteer water sampler for the University of New Hampshire Lakes Monitoring Program. I'm a land steward for the Sydney Smith Woods. I hike there all the time, and I decided, well, I heard there's a steward position, so I could do that since I'm hiking there anyway. I'm also a very avid loon aficionado. So I volunteer for the Loon Preservation Committee. I've got loon signs in my yard waiting for the chicks to hatch, and Mr. Harvard put those signs out. I'm also treasurer of the Tuftonboro Association, Mark and others, and I'm treasurer of the Abenaki Tower and Trail Association as well. I'm all in, I'm volunteering. Professionally, I was a software engineer and a small business owner for over 40 years, but I just retired at the beginning of this month, which is slightly and so the timing is great for me to take on another role as a town moderator. So I would appreciate your vote on March 10th. Thank you very much.
Max Ledoux is also put in for moderator. They're not incompatible offices, so you could win both.
So, town meeting is a very storied institution, tradition in New England. I grew up in Maine. I remember my parents taking me to town meeting in the town where I grew up. And in my memory, from a child, those town meetings lasted about 4 days. I said previously, I moved here in 2014. There have been 10 town meetings since then. This is going to be the 11th. I have been to 8 of the last 10. And if you have been to any of those meetings, you will remember me going to the microphone and saying, Max Ledoux, Tuftonboro Corner. I am Max Ledoux. I'm asking you to vote for me for town moderator. Our meetings don't last 4 days, but I think we could be more efficient. And that's what I'm running on, efficiency. So please vote for me. I will get us straight to business. For instance, I don't think that we need to spend 45 minutes on announcements at the beginning of the meeting, like on who was elected the previous day. All of that information is available online, and most people who are sitting at town meeting probably already know that information and can look it up. So vote for me. I will get us straight to business. And the business of town meeting is voting on warrant articles. Once we get started, I'll keep the pace going. And the point of that is so that as many people as possible can participate in town meeting. What we see is that people start leaving as the meeting drags on. And I would like to respect people's time. It is a time commitment. It's people have families, they have things to do. So I will keep the pace going. And let's be honest, those of you who have been at town meeting know that the best way to make town meeting go faster is to put me on the stage so that I don't go to the microphone for every single warrant article. I hear the groans when I go up for the 11th time, 12th, 13th. I know. Some of you don't like me. It's okay. It's just the truth. But here's the thing. If you don't like me, honestly, you should vote for me. So, if you like me, please vote for me. If you don't like me, please vote for me.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Do you have a question?
So, it's important, town meetings, that's awesome, you're involved in town meetings. What I want to know a little bit is, for things like voting and, everyone has their personal opinions about what side politically they rest on. How do I know that you're going to remain unbiased in things like elections?
That's a great question. Well, one of the reasons you will know is because most people know what my views are, right? I think a lot of people in town know me from town meeting or from Tuftonboro Neighbors, which I started and has 8,000 members. Obviously, we don't have that many people in town. You know what I think. So you're going to know if I'm behaving in a biased way. It'll be very clear.
There's a question over there.
I'm interested in, and I want a specific answer, not a meandering. Under what circumstances would you refuse to certify an election? That's the only thing I care about in this position.
Your question.
Well, that was kind of an insulting question, actually.
No, it's not. It's a totally legitimate question.
To say meandering. It's also very hypothetical. I don't understand.
It's happened multiple times in the past 10 years. Answer the question, please. Whoa. Please.
I will always look to the law. So I am a stickler for the rules. If it's allowed by law, then that's my lodestar. If it's not, then it's not. I will give the example of a few years ago, it was 2018. There was a warrant article for this library. And it required taking out debt, more than $100,000 in debt. And by law, the selectmen have to hold a public hearing for that within a certain time frame. And unfortunately, they forgot that year. They didn't hold it. There was a big discussion about, can we vote on that warrant article anyway? And I stood over in the old library, and I was the only person in a group of 40 or 50 people. I said, it's not allowed. It's not allowed by law. And I showed them the statute. And that article had to be tabled that year. And then the next year, they brought it back, they did it correctly. And look, here we are. So, does that answer your question?
Not exactly, but I appreciate your respect for the law, and that's fair. I think you did the right thing.
I think he answered it. Thank you, Max.
Anybody else?
Thank you. Peter Sluski, I see you've come in, snuck in late. Come on up and introduce yourself. I know you're on a boat, so keep it brief. And I don't know if you missed it, we don't have a microphone system here, so you're gonna have to keep your voice a little bit louder, and everybody has been very respectful of keeping it down.
I'm running for the trustee of the trust funds, unopposed, which is wonderful. But I've been doing this for 14 years now. I started by volunteering for the cemetery trustees, and then I was also at the same time talked into volunteering to be a trustee of the trust funds. And I was told that if you do one, you really should do the other, and I found out that that's totally not true. After 3 years as a cemetery trustee, I kind of didn't do that anymore. It was was above my pay grade. And so I stayed on as a trust fund trustee and been doing it now for 14 years. I've lived in Tuftonboro for 21 years. And I like doing it because we like giving out scholarships to young people that are going off to secondary school after high school. And just keeping track of the funds, making sure they're deposited correctly to give us the maximum amount of money we can make on interest and income, and just generally just keeping track of that. And I have a history of being bookkeeper, accountant, controller in different corporations over the years. So I just kind of fell into a spot that I enjoy doing. So thank you for your vote. Appreciate it.
How can I get in touch with you? Because I've tried emailing and I'm not getting a response. So
Okay.
I don't know if I have the correct email address.
Well,
I can talk to you afterwards.
yeah, I can give you my email
Your son
address.
received one of those scholarships, which is fantastic, and
Yes.
friends.
So,
Oh, sure.
so thankful for that.
No, it's, we don't advertise it a lot. I know like hikers do a scholarship, which is great also. And they put ads in the paper to let people know, but we just try to get the word out there, but it is available. So, and we're more than happy to do it. And our scholarship over the years, because the investments have grown, the scholarship amounts have grown every year too, which is also wonderful. So, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right, we'll work our way through town offices. I saw Frank Tranchita, road agent, you're not standing back there, come on up. Yes, go ahead.
My name's Frank Tranchita. I'm running for road agent against Jim. Been on the fire department, lived here my whole life. It's another way for me to give back to the community. Just think there's a lot of things that we could do for some time management, some budgetary things on that end, try to save some money. That's about it, I guess.
All right. Questions? All right, thank you. Do you have a statement from Jim Beam? He was unable to make it because he's under the weather right now, but he did want this shared. He said he says he's had the privilege of serving as a road agent for the past 17 and a half years. During that time, he's been responsible for maintaining 48 miles of town roads, ensure they're safe, passable, and properly maintained throughout all seasons, especially during our New Hampshire winters. The position requires constant attention to road conditions, drainage, grading, culverts, and winter response. It also requires the right equipment and experience to use it effectively. Over the years, Jim says he's built and maintained the trucks and machinery needed to keep our roads in good condition and respond quickly when weather or road issues arise. Over the years, he has also taken time to attend professional training classes through UNH Technology Transfer Center and has achieved the level of Senior Master Road Scholar, ROAD, not. Reflecting his commitment to continue education, professional standards, and road management, he has worked to improve drainage and grading on our dirt roads, maintained paved surfaces, and managed winter operations so residents can travel safely. His goal has always been to provide reliable, consistent road maintenance while being mindful of taxpayer dollars. He feels that continuity matters in this position. The systems, equipment, and experience are already in place. He says he remains committed to maintain the level of service our town expects and deserves. He cares deeply about this community and takes the responsibility of road agent seriously. He is proud of the work he's done in the past 17 and a half years and would be honored to serve again, continue serving, and hopes for your vote in March. Next, selectman. Chip Albee.
Thank you. Thanks for coming. My name is Chip Albee. I've been a selectman this go around about for 9 years. And I served an additional 3 years earlier in the century, so a total of 12 years. So I made a few notes just to bring you up to speed on what we've done over the last, and I've served with a number of people in the audience, Bill Marcus and Sue Weeks, Lloyd Wood, So it's a team effort. But over the last 8 years, the average increase on the budget and warrant article totals is average 2.5%. We have capitalized $4,774,450 toward capital equipment. There was mention in the CIP report that we have $8.5 million worth of equipment. So over a period of time, we've been able to satisfy half of that. We've only used $995,000 of the undesignated fund balance, which is your savings account here at town. The rest of it we've used, or some of the rest of it we've used for reduction of taxes. The projects that we've accomplished in the last 8 years are, and this isn't a complete list, but the library, the rebuilding and restoration of Union Wharf, the police station, which we're currently building, which according to the figures that we got on Monday, is coming in about $224,000 under budget. We had a pavement study done back in 2018 or 19 by the Lakes Region Planning Commission. And we've accomplished about 74% of that paving for the whole town. And so I expect that in the next 2 years, we'll finish up that whole paving project. We have a new solar array at the transfer station. And we signed the interconnect on Monday, so that will start producing electricity to the grid as we go forward. Much to Max's chagrin, his net worth has increased by quite a lot in the last few years, but our rate per thousand in 2018 was $2.96. Our rate per thousand in 2025 is $2.23. The average over that 8 years of the local tax rate is $2.68. We have, in an effort to limit bureaucracy, added only one half-time employee over that same period of time. We have had some revenue increases, which we need because of the current budget philosophy. The transfer station has increased in 2028 was it in 2018, $110,000 a year in revenue. It's currently at $147,000 for 2025, which is 23% of their operating budget. That's the equivalent that they're doing. So I think they're doing a wonderful job. We've been able to collect a little over $2 million worth of federal and state grants for infrastructure and capital improvements. That wasn't happening before. We're still looking for more non-tax revenue for the town. That's our next project, or my next project, obviously, if I get elected. I had, I guess I won't get into that. We have an issue with the budget in that the budget committee was unable to complete the budget for the 2026 budget. So what you'll see on your warrant this year is a recommendation to accept the selectmen's budget because we did complete our budget. That can be changed from the floor. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of discussion about it, but I was significantly disappointed that they couldn't finalize that budget.
You mentioned some potential non-tax revenue.
Right.
Is there some ideas or thoughts that are happening, like a toll booth by Pier 19 or something?
We talked about a toll booth, but Peter Livius did one back in the 1700s and got burned down. Sent out of town. No, it's some of the areas at the transfer station, for instance, the construction debris waste is done on an estimated weight basis currently. We really need to look at a scale. Let's make it even. We're not asking builders or whoever to pay more than we pay, but they should at least cover the cost that we pay as a town. I mean, I don't know if you're building anything, but most of the people out here in the audience probably aren't. So things like that we have to look at. We're also looking at the revenue that's going to be coming in from the solar, which should bring in as much revenue as we currently use in electricity. And electricity rates aren't going down, so we're adding a police station, and that wasn't part of that solar project because it wasn't there yet. So expanding the solar project to include the police station would help as well. So that's $50,000 or $60,000 a year.
How much has the tax rate been affected by the state and county portion of it?
I've got a chart. It's generally more affected by the school and the state than it is by the town. We've been pretty flat. And that's one of the reasons why we need to have an undesignated fund balance, is so that when we get a situation where the county or the school system or the state go up dramatically, we can lower the local rate to compensate for that. We can't affect the gross tax rate other than if, for instance, the school tax rate goes up $1, 1,000, we can use the fund balance to lower the local tax by $1, 1,000. You know, notify the gain. But all those, we have at the town office tracks of the tax rate over the last 10 years. I know in a form I've got it with me actually.
Thank you. Thank you. No.
Thanks.
So the only town office I haven't heard is Alana Albee. Not here. Okay. Let's go to school board. We'll start with Tom Bickford.
Okay.
Tom's member at large, running unopposed for 3 years.
That gives me 3 minutes. It really came out just to put a name to the face and encourage you to give me a call with questions. There was a while there was a sense that people couldn't call us as school board members. You certainly can. And we have the obligation to say to you, oh, I can't talk to you about that. And that comes with like employee problems, children's problems, things that we can't get too deep into because we sit as judge and jury on things that come up from the principals to the superintendent, and then they get appealed to us. And we get too into it, we may have to recuse ourselves. So that's on us. Keep ourselves honest. And as far as transparency, I'm very big on that. On the proficiency, yes, we need to increase those. They may not be the best indicator in the world, but everybody looks at them. So we need to take a serious look at it and improve them. And fiscal responsibility, we've increased the amount of information that the board is seeing and that the administration is sharing with us. And I think that's going in the right direction. And that's it.
Where are you from, Mr. Bickford?
Wolfeboro. Grew up in New Durham, though.
You're Tom growing up.
That's right.
Went to school together.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name.
Oh, Tom Bickford.
Okay, thank you.
It's like restaurants.
We have one more question.
Hi.
Can you talk a little bit, if possible, about how the voucher program is affecting the public schools?
Rather not.
Okay. Maybe somebody else later will touch on that. How's that? Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Is Dr. Manning here?
He's in Florida.
He's in Florida, okay.
Staying warm.
So he was, yeah, missing out on all this. He was on the list as being coming here tonight. Okay. How about Dana House?
Andy, who was that you just mentioned that was in Florida?
Dr. James Manning. He's Brookfield for 3 years, unopposed.
Dr. Jim.
Dana House, unopposed. Wolfeboro, 3 years. And Caitlin Murphy is running for moderator for 1 year.
School board moderator.
School board moderator, that is correct. I'm on school board thing, so that leaves us with Kirsten Burke.
Speaking is not my thing. So, my name is Kirsten Burke, and I have had the privilege of serving on the school board for the last year. I am running because I want to continue serving our community, supporting teachers, and helping every child in our district succeed. It makes me really uncomfortable to stand up here and try to sell myself. That's not why I'm running. But I do feel it's important because it's been brought up on Facebook that I should share my experience and skills that I bring. Yes, I am a stay-at-home mom, but that doesn't define who I am. It is part of who I am. And my husband and I made that choice together because it was we felt it was in the best interest of our children. I did walk away from managing a multi-million-dollar business. And since I have intentionally been building a background in family and human services through education and training while still raising my children so that I could give back to this community that I love. Human services is about understanding how families function in real life pressures. Children, child development, family systems, trauma, mental health, crisis intervention, and how schools and social services and communities intersect into children's lives. Kids don't show up to school as blank slates. They come from families and they have home environments and stressors, strengths and challenges that they bring every day to school. Assessments are important. They give us information, but they only show us part of the picture. Understanding the whole child is what allows us to support them more effectively, especially in this district where we're serving families from very different economical backgrounds. Beyond my own family, I've spent years serving in this community. My husband and I have raised 5 children in this district. 4 are currently enrolled at Tuftonboro, the middle school, and the high school. One's graduated from Kingswood, and he's now off at college. My husband grew up here, and so we have a deep personal connection to this community. I've worked with youth and children as a Sunday school teacher, in Scouts, as a volunteer in our schools, and I don't just have kids in this district because that's what's been said about me online. So I show up and I contribute. And I've done so consistently. Children matter to me. I also support educational choice, including homeschooling. My sister homeschools, and I respect and value that opinion. I have a great deal of respect for my fellow board members and our administration. We don't always agree, but we work together in the best interest of children. Every decision that I make starts with students. And I know that our teachers are the ones who make learning happen every day. So supporting them with the resources, training, and encouragement they need is essential. Proficiency matters, but so do the day-to-day supports for both students and teachers. I served on the Building and Maintenance Committee this year, which we had the carpenter ceiling collapse. So that was how I was introduced on the board with the ceiling collapsing. That gave me a deeper appreciation for the amount of work that our maintenance staff handles every day. Even with their very small team, they carry an enormous amount of responsibility to keep our schools safe and functioning. I strongly believe in responsible stewardship of our community's resources. This year I did help to bring forward an operating budget that comes in lower than the default, and I wanted to talk a little bit about that because that means that our funding for our schools, including programs, staff, and student support, was carefully managed and kept below what the default calculation would allow. In addition, there are several warrant articles included this year to add to that projected increase. I felt as a board member that it was important to bring those forward so that voters could have a clear choice on each item. When you look at the numbers, the operating budget itself is lower than the default, and the warrant articles are separate decisions for each of you in the community to make. So that helps to bring forward transparency and gives voters options as to what they want to include. It also balances fiscal responsibility with providing our schools resources. I care deeply about public education and about every child in our community. I'm collaborative, a hard worker. I'm committed to transparency and financial responsibility. I believe parents should be partners in their child's education, and these children are our future. They're important. Educating them well ensures that they're prepared to come back here and contribute meaningfully to this place that we all call home. So I would appreciate your vote. If anybody has any questions, I'm happy to try to answer them. I also take phone calls. You can call me anytime. I'm home during the day when my children are in school.
Just have a question on the warrant Articles 5.
Which
is
one?
the $135,000 for the full-time.
The wellness coordinator position? Yeah, what question do you have? I have a whole job description for that.
Well, let's not go there. We did talk for quite a while, so let's make it quick.
I just want to understand what's not getting done today with the resources that this position would have to fill. Why do we need this additional that's not being filled today?
Yeah, so in 2020 or 2015, 2016, Huggins started combining with the school district. It was like a mutually beneficial project. I don't know. Collaborative. Yeah, it was collaborative. And so they came to us around 2 years ago and said that it was no longer mutually beneficial for them. This is not something that we contract out. It is something that helped them because they needed more nurses in the summer, but they didn't have the work for them. So now we are bringing those nurses back on. So this position will oversee the nursing staff that we are going to be bringing back into the school. And not only that, she will be, or he, because we don't have anybody yet, not voted on. They will be responsible for looking for and writing grants, which could potentially save us money. They will be working with families who have children who need all different kinds of support. So looking at feeding them, helping them get all the different things they need, wellness.
Thank you. No, that's good.
Just to be clear, this is a one-year
Yes,
position
it's a
for
one-year
representing
position.
Tuftonboro. Has to be a Tuftonboro resident on the board. Molly, you have a very quick question?
I do have a quick question, and you may not be able to answer it. What is the ratio of administrators, counselors, therapists, nurses, et cetera, per student in the public school system, if you know, and how has it changed?
In our district,
Yeah.
I think that it's about 1 to 60. So one administrator to 60 employees.
60 students.
She's asking
No.
students.
Oh, just the student ratio?
What's the ratio of
It's
the
either-
student population to the administrators, counselors, therapists,
Oh,
nurses?
I don't have that number. I believe it's higher though, because I did calculate this out at one point, because I wanted to know. But it's higher than the 60, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Ready?
Thank you and good evening. My name is Brendan Goughran. I'm also running for school board. This seems to be somewhat of a contentious position. It's voluntary. The reason I am running, I think I have a skill set that's rather unique. I've been living in the town of Tuftonboro for 6 years. I've been on the Tuftonboro Budget Committee for 3. I have 3 children. I have one that was in the high school for a year, short period of time, but I had a flavor for that. My business acumen, I have an undergraduate degree from the University of Connecticut in molecular biology. I'm a very analytical person. I have a master's degree from Bentley University that also included a IT component to it. When I left that position, I got involved in a lot of consulting engagements. One of the first of that was I ended up picking up a job at one of the largest manufacturers in New England. My job there was to save the company $2 million, my division. Before the year was out, I saved the company $12 million. And I did it without cutting a person. Okay? I look at problems differently. I am involved in much of my business experience has to do with change management, operational efficiencies, lean management, so that has to do with people, policy, and process. Okay? And all that stuff has to be aligned, mission, strategy, so forth. When we talk about change, this has a tendency to frighten people. Okay? But I'm going to tell you, I think you need it. I'm looking at a school system right now over the last 15 years had a significant drop in enrollment. And you're not alone. The whole state has experienced this. When you take a look at the state as a whole, 34,000 students less than currently enrolled in schools compared to 15 years ago. You have a lot of fixed costs that are involved in that. I think this is an issue. I think that you need somebody to come in to manage this process. You have a lot of folks on the inside who are incredibly intelligent. Okay? You already have the educational pieces. You have folks with master's degrees in education. You have folks with PhDs. I'm not that. I'm management. Okay? A couple of other things, just real quick. So my platform is basically 3 things. Okay? It's financial discipline, it's academic excellence, and it's transparency. The fiscal piece of this. So let's take a look at some of those things. So back in 2019, if you take a look at the cost of educating a student in this district, we were $2,300 above state average. If you go forward to 2025, that number has gone up to $3,600. Now, when you multiply that out by the number of individuals, the enrollment in the school system, you're looking at $4.8 million over what the average is, 2019, nearly $8 million now. Okay? So just keep that in mind. This is a per student. Okay? Let's see. A couple of other things I want to mention. I'll skip some of the other finance pieces just for the sake of time. Okay. The scholastic excellence. Now, it seems it's sort of like a trick. You bring this stuff up. What I would like to do is, we'll be back up for a minute. Proficiency scores. They are average. Okay? Across the board. Have been for a while. When I went to the deliberative meeting, the school board came out and said, look, yes, they're average, but the defense for this is that the state's standard assessment, it has more to do with the timing of when that is given. That seems to be the major driver, or at least that was the reason that was given. And I'm going to tell you, I don't think that's accurate. We are an average district, and I don't think that we're an average district from a proficiency standpoint, but we are not an average district per se. We have excellent teachers, excellent faculty. There is some sort of disjunct here, and I would like to be a part of solving that. The purpose of being on the school board is to essentially clear the road for that, clear the path, identify some of the variables, and see if you can mitigate those. Looking at a variable that you cannot move, like when the test is given, probably doesn't help that. If you hyper-focus on that, you are going to stagnate. You have average SAT scores. That's further validating the fact that this is where we're at. So I think we should just sort of accept this and try and figure out a better way forward. That's the academic excellence part of this. The other piece of this is transparency. And when I go around the district and I talk to folks, clearly there are a lot of people who are frustrated with being able to get information, either it's budget information or it's academic excellence or whatever it is. The SAU office is fantastic. They got really good people over there. I've been in contact with them on a regular basis, but if you go to the SAU website, it's really antiquated, okay? And they're not the only ones. You look at all the SAU websites, they're all antiquated. That being said, that's not really a defense. Some of these figures that I pulled, which I have it here, some of them are from SAU and some of them are from the New Hampshire Department of Education. Sometimes they conflict, it's a little confusing. And I'm looking at this stuff all the time. I can't even imagine a taxpayer or a parent trying to go through this stuff. Now, they do a good job, and again, I want to be able to pull back for a second and say, it's not a criticism per se. I'm identifying areas of weakness. That's my job. Okay? This is like a SWOT analysis: strength, weakness, opportunity, threats. Okay? I'm not here to do damage. I'm not here to dismantle. I'm here to help. So that's it. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Looks like you have a question over there.
Yeah.
Sorry, this is for Tuftonboro voters.
Yes.
Yeah, I've heard a million corporate managers say they're not here to do damage, and then to decimate corporations, if not.
Yeah.
So, you said you have some goals: transparency, academic excellence, and fiscal responsibility. You talked about those as identified those as problems. Okay, fair enough. Let's say I agree. A school and a business should be operating the same way. What do you plan to do about the academic excellence problem?
Yeah, it's a good question. And look, I'm not Wall Street.
No,
Okay, I'm not Charlie Sheen. Okay, just want to make that clear. And as far as when I went into companies and I looked for efficiencies, I wasn't cutting people.
I have only your word to go on. Just tell me.
No, absolutely. And most of the time, when we're talking about saving money, when I was over at, for instance, Boston Scientific, okay, I was assistant director for global procurement. Okay, we were in charge of a $3.5 billion budget. We were doing probably 300 contracts a year. I was in charge of all those divisions. Okay, so when I'm telling you that I have negotiating experience, that's part of the efficiency piece. Right? So, I'm sorry, the original question that you asked was about proficiency, correct?
No, proficiency, yeah.
Okay. So, I'll be honest with you. The answer is, I don't know. That's the honest answer. I'm not going to tell you. So, here's the difference between confidence and arrogance. I am confident I can get the job done. I'm not so arrogant to know that I'm walking into a situation with the answers. But I will tell you where the answers lie. The answers lie within the teachers themselves. I guarantee you if I sat down with 5 teachers over at Kingswood, they would probably give me a list of things that are in their way right now, policy, procedure, whatever, that we could work on, okay? And so, that would be my quick answer to that.
So let me ask you just a quick follow-up to that.
Yeah,
So, let's say you do ask 5 teachers and they say, the answer is we don't have enough money. Do you accept that answer? Because you seem to be willing to accept the other answer.
Yeah, sure. No, hey, listen, that's a valid. So, let's do a comparison.
You're equivocating.
No. I'm not equivocating. I'm going to answer your question.
Okay.
Yeah. So, let's look at Hanover, New Hampshire, which, by the way, I did a video on this. I called it Hanover. I was obviously very hungry that night. So, Hanover, New Hampshire, they have a teacher-student ratio of 11 to 1.
11 to 1?
Yeah, 11 to 1. We have a student-teacher ratio of 10 to 1. So if the argument is we should get more teachers, I'm not gonna buy that. And I think we have enough teachers. Well, you said spend more money.
Doesn't mean more teachers.
Correct. Oh, no, I agree with you. I agree with you. So what would be your solution then? Your solution would be, we're not gonna add teachers.
Just let him answer the question,
Yeah, I'm asking.
and so we can keep this going along. Go ahead.
If we're not gonna, thank you. If we're not gonna add teachers, are we getting rid of them to replace them with better ones? I'm not interested in that. Okay? The teachers that we have are perfect. I suspect there are problems with certain obstacles that are currently in their way. And it could be behavior issues. It could be a whole host of things. I looked at the, the youth risk assessment. I would tell you, if you want sleepless nights, go read that thing.
No, let's let him,
Hold on a second, let me just finish this real quick and then.
you've asked the question, let him, and then somebody else will have a chance.
So, if you take a look at that thing, we have 10% of our youth who have attempted suicide. I'm sorry, I have to bring this stuff up, right? You have 30% of the youth who have smoked marijuana in the last 30 days. We have some issues. I know you don't like to talk about all of these things.
I'm fine.
Yeah, no, not you. I apologize. Don't mean to put that in you. These are difficult topics to discuss. So this is a complex organization. But you have a complex organization that's a $70 million spend. So my point is, you need management.
No, my point is, you laid out the premise of, I asked 5 teachers for suggestions, and they were all like, we need less bureaucracy, more efficiency, blah, blah, blah. I said, well, what if they said they want more money, and you refused to answer the question?
Well, I think I answered the question.
You said, yeah, leave.
No.
All right, next person, over there.
Yes.
What's your understanding of what a school board is, or what our school board is, and how it works, and what your role would be?
I know, I've seen lots of your questions online, by the way.
That's great.
And I appreciate
You haven't answered any of them. But you can answer.
Anyway, let him answer this one.
So, repeat it one more time.
I said, what is your understanding of how a school board works, our school board
Yep.
works, and what your role would be?
Well, I will tell you that my boss are you guys, number one. And I will also tell you that the superintendent is underneath. That's number 2. The superintendent is the employee of the school board. Okay? She is also, in this case, the CEO.
I'm not asking about her role, I'm asking about yours.
Yeah, I know.
She's explaining it, let him answer so we
Yeah.
can keep moving along.
Don't look at me like that, I can ask questions.
No, you certainly can.
Just see who you are.
No, that's fine. And this is what I'm talking about. This is a contentious issue. I understand that. I'm dealing with your kids, and I'm dealing with your taxes, I'm dealing with your future. But again, this is a voluntary position. I'm trying to do the best I can. I want to give. That is the point. I have a skill set. I want to give. So this is. I'm going to get to your answer in a second. So you have to understand the hierarchy, right? So you review expenses, you review policy, you help with curriculum, you help direct, you help support the CEO. The CEO, which is the superintendent, all of the information, all the directives come down from there. So my job as a school board member would be as a support mechanism, but also as an executive. Okay? What I would like to do as a school board member in particular is go out and do a little bit of my own research. And I've done some of that already. I've already contacted some former school board members. Okay? I talked to them. I haven't attended every meeting. I've attended 2. Okay? Because I know you've asked about that. So I want to address that. Yeah. I'm not trying to avoid the question. I have seen other videos online, so I'm sort of aware of what's going on at A level. Okay? I will tell you that if you have a list of checkboxes, I probably don't check all of them. Those checkboxes that you may have, I will tell you your school board has probably checked them all. But your school board is also not dealing with all the financial problems. And again, we've been stagnant on proficiency scores for a very long time. So I don't know what that strategy is at this point. It might be very dynamic, but it's not working.
So one of the
Okay, no, don't, you have to be recognized.
I'm finished.
Okay.
I hope I satisfied.
And you're a Tuftonboro resident?
Your
Thank you.
question, sort of, back.
So right over here, this gentleman has a question,
You don't quite understand?
but anyway.
I'm sure that I'm not going to satisfy your question. I get that. I get that. But
Brendan,
please
Brendan,
keep
you got
in
a
mind-
question over here from someone.
Please keep in mind, I'm not trying to do anything negative to the system, okay? For my detractors, of which there are some, yes.
If I heard you correctly, the state has an issue with less students. You also shared that we have less students here, yet we're paying $3,000 more per student than the average state.
Right.
So what you're kind of talking us through here is there may be an opportunity to address some of that delta between the $3,000 and the fact that we have less students. So maybe we should repurpose how we're spending our money so we maximize the proficiencies, reading, writing, and arithmetic. And maybe some of the other things that the schools funded over the years may be not necessary today because of the change or the population levels. Is that kind of some of the points you're making?
Yeah, I mean, some of this is a reallocation of resources and a realignment. The proficiency stuff is a purely a strategic piece, okay? But I want to make sure I'm clear on this piece, which I think is really important, is that, you know, for instance, you've got Wakefield. Wakefield sends 90% of their kids over to Rochester, I believe. They got a contract. They can't seem to get out of their contract. They'd probably like to send more of their kids to here. I think they send about 10% here. I'm not entirely sure of those figures, but I think that's correct. So you could, if you end up becoming more successful in getting these SAT scores up and proficiency scores up, you might possibly get more folks from maybe homeschool, maybe the folks that are looking at charter schools, maybe some folks that are going to other districts. This is a business, folks. I'm sorry. This is a free market. I understand that there are some people here that are like, no, it's not really a business, but you're operating in a free market. It is a service, and we have an obligation.
Okay.
I'm seeing some heads nod.
One quick question back over there, then we'll move on.
Your experience is unbelievable. You sound like you have a lot of experience. I have a lot of respect for that. I have a two-parter question. What is your experience in public schools? And then what is your experience with the socioeconomic demographic of our entire district? I know you're running for Tuftonboro.
Yeah.
We are a very large
Oh, yeah.
district.
You're representing the whole thing. You know, it's not just Tuftonboro. Yeah. Experience in public schools. I was in one. My son was in one for a while. I mean, that's the extent of my public school experience. You know, I mean, I'm just going to be very frank with you.
Okay.
And I am sure that anyone who is on the school board, who wasn't on the school board before, probably came from that same position, correct?
No.
Okay, well, maybe not. I'm not going to make, but what I'm saying is, no matter how much experience you have, you started somewhere, right? Okay. So I know that there are differences and challenges in other towns. Wolfeboro and Tuftonboro are unique. That's why we pay more money into the system. We are different than the other towns. And as a result, I went over to Ossipee the other day, and I spoke to a woman that was over there. And she was telling me, you know, that we've got a lot of students that are homeless. We've got a lot of students that are strung out on drugs. That is not typical of the folks in your Tuftonboro. Okay? So I'm aware of those things. This is one of the reasons why you have school counselors and school psychologists and other safety nets built within the system. But yeah, that's on my list. And also, you know, the other things that I was talking about, bullying is a big issue. Racism, I know it's not friendly to talk about, but it's on my radar. So I'm sensitive to those things. Yeah.
Okay. No,
Oh, sorry, you're moderator.
kind of, we're running on, we still have some more people to talk, so I apologize.
Thank you.
Obviously, if you've been here maybe for a little bit, you can ask it. I was a little remiss earlier, I have to apologize. Jenna Dancy did send a statement, and I want to be clear, when I read the statement from Jim Bean, when I said he did this, he did that, it really was him saying that, I was not advocating on his behalf. So I tried to change the wording when I could to make it clear. Ms. Dancy has put it in her own words, so I don't have to try and convert third person to first person, but She said, "Thank you for the opportunity to share why I'm running for selectman. Sorry I'm not able to be there in person tonight. I'm traveling with my family during my daughter's school vacation week. I respect the importance of this forum and appreciate the chance to still share my thoughts. I'm stepping forward because I believe Tuftonboro works best when our boards and committees are truly working together and communicating clearly with residents. We have dedicated volunteers serving on budget, planning, conservation, parks and rec, and other committees, and stronger coordination and clearer long-term direction will benefit everyone. Good leadership isn't about reacting year to year, it's about thoughtful future planning. We need to be asking, where is Tuftonboro headed 5, 10, and 20 years from now? What infrastructure, services, and financial planning will that require? Transparency matters just as much. Residents deserve straightforward information about what it actually costs to run our town, not just line items, but clear explanations. When people understand the numbers, they can make informed decisions and feel confident in the direction we're going. I'm especially interested in working with Parks and Recreation to explore additional opportunities for families, seniors, and young people. Recreation strengthens community, and small, thoughtful improvements can make a real difference in quality of life here. I'm running to bring steady collaboration, long-range thinking, and clear communication to the Select Board. Tuftonboro deserves leadership that listens, plans responsibly, and keeps residents informed. If this message resonates with you, please consider voting for me, but that's actually her, not me. Jenna Dancy on March 10th. Sorry, I forgot, I should have read that after Selectman Albee got to speak. And next we have our state reps for District 7, Carroll County. Bobbi, you're up first. This is a seat for 2 years in our state legislature representing us, Wolfeboro and Osby.
Actually,
in
the fall.
It's the fall, that's right, that's right. Because
Special
partway through the
election,
year.
yeah,
Special election.
short little bit here.
Thank you.
Bobbi Boudman, before I totally go into my background and introduce myself, there were a few conversations in the room, and I just want to tap into those first because they directly fall in line with this position. One is, I don't know his name, Brandon, where'd he go?
He's talking to somebody in the hall.
Mentioned that we had a problem with that survey, and it would scare you. And it should scare you, because we have at our state level this year, they defunded that very department that would oversee those children and give aid to those children. They defunded it by $51 million. That's just not for children. That is for homelessness. That is for our veterans. That is for the fact that, as most of us know, our highest suicide rate in our state is for our veterans. So when we look at that $51 million, that is what we're talking about at that school level, and that survey, where that funding could have helped. That funding's gone. So that funding comes out of, guess what? Your property taxes. That's right. So when I also heard up here someone sort of complain about that your property taxes are high, but then we get into the, oh, but wait, your rate is lower. Everybody saw that your rates are lower, right? Your property tax rate is lower. Are you guys paying less money or are you paying more? You're paying more, right? So the reason that is because the state has begun to artificially inflate in the Lakes region our property taxes. So we all look and we noticed probably a few years ago that we had, especially on I'm going to use the lake area, the little cottages. And I do see a few of you in here who have generational cottages. And I also know, just because of personal experience with you in our conversations, that you also are on fixed incomes. So you're looking at the fact that you have these generational cottages, and just a few years ago, your generational cottage may have been assessed at max $400,000. And now you're getting these little assessments, and it's saying this generational cottage is now $1.2 million. Well, yeah, your tax rate went down because your whole town's value doubled. So in 2019, your town was valued by the state at 1.2 billion. Your town now in 24 was 2.4 billion. So it really did double in a few years. And I get it, someone next door to you moved in and you bought your house maybe at 300,000 and that person moved in and they bought their house for 900,000. Did your house make you another $600,000? It didn't, but the state is saying it did. So those funds are now trickling down in a way that the state is no longer helping you. They're no longer taking those places where funding we used to have. They're drawing off of that, and you're not getting that money anymore. And part of the reason is we're giving big tax breaks to Walmart. Look, nothing against Walmart, but we're giving them a big tax break, and then we're going to make up the difference of that tax break by our property taxes going up. This is why I'm running. It's not fair. We're getting beat up. We're not looking at these things the way we should. Okay, Bobbi Boudman. I grew up in Holyoke, Mass, which I guess some people would call the wrong side of the tracks. And my father was a veteran from Vietnam. Grew up with food insecurity, housing, heat, and I guess I'm the proverbial pick yourself up by your bootstraps. Got out, took me 12 years to get my undergrad, got my master's, worked as a municipal director. I've worked as a financial analyst in the music industry for large, Barry Gordy, other people, big publishers. And then I decided that I wanted to be a mom. And I wanted my husband and I decided we wanted our son to grow up the same way we grew up, with snow. My husband's from the tip of northern Maine, out in the middle of nowhere. And I married into the Lakes region almost 36 years ago. And so when it was time to sort of come back and give our son a life, the Lakes region was the place for us. And we settled in Wolfeboro, and 18 years ago, just hunkered in and got right into volunteering in town and getting involved. My husband started with Village Players, and my son got dragged in the theater. Then he started school. I joined the PTO. You do all those little things where you start connecting out, garden clubs and 68 Hours of Hunger. And then you start joining boards, been on the budget committee, ad hoc committees, fighting for ADA rights. So it's been 18 years of growing personal relationships and learning our community and getting to know most of you in this room, actually, which is great. I am always available. I know that another thing about myself, my son did start public school, then he homeschooled, then he went back to public school. So I am definitely not against homeschooling. Any questions?
Great. Thank you. Fincher. Mind if I pick up the mic? It's an honor to speak with you here tonight. I'm getting over an illness, so pardon my slowness or sluggishness. Been standing in the back. It's been a long night. Let me make it quick. When I found out Glenn Cordelli resigned, I was involved with the Winnie GOP and many different locals. And I asked them who's going to step up on the Republican ticket to take his place. And as we talked and discussed, there was a couple of people mentioned. They turned around and asked the question to me, what about you? Like me? I mean, I care about serving the community and I care about the politics of New Hampshire since I've lived here for 6 years. But I wasn't ready for that. And they said, we think you actually represent what we value and what we care about here. And you have a voice to share it. So after a lot of conversations between Concord and with the locals here including with Jeb Bradley, who gave me his endorsement. He says, you go for it. And so I stepped in and threw my hat into the arena. And when I make a commitment, I stick to it. It's been a very long and hard journey these last 2 months. Long and hard. It was surprising to find that I had to be a write-in candidate for the primary. Turned out that the supervisor of the checklist did not meet after the special election was called, which they are required to do before general elections, but not before special elections. We were told we could push it through in Superior Court, but it wasn't worth the trouble. Just go for it. Because what matters is what the voter thinks and what the voter wants. So we stepped into it. Been working my tail off. Visiting, knocking on doors, having public events, more public events than anybody else in the primary and in the general. I answer more emails than I can count. I get a lot of hate on Facebook, which is remarkable. A lot of people stay off Facebook and refuse to have conversations in our own communities because, as has been described to me, it's like a dumpster fire on there. I grew up coming to New Hampshire, age 10. I actually grew up in a broken home in Florida. My dad left when I was 6 years old. And coming up to New Hampshire from the age of 10 all the way up to my mid-20s, I actually came up and spent summers here and at summer camp. And I came back after a camper. I came back to work in that summer camp, and it was the director of that camp who actually became like a father to me. And for many years, I worked as his right-hand man, as a second in charge of that camp, working with a lot of underprivileged youth and children in the state of New Hampshire. Live free or die gets into your blood. And I said to my mom as I was growing up, one day I want to live in the mountains on a lake like they have in New Hampshire. Turns out, you don't find that in very many places in the country. New Hampshire and Maine have quite an abundance of it. I wish I could live on the lakefront. I got here too late. The property taxes are too high. But on January 20th, it was a blistery day. We had a primary, and 1,200 Republicans showed up. 1,200. It got so much attention on the state level, I had the majority leader texting me saying, what are you doing down there in Wolfeboro, Tuftonboro, and Ossipee? Because it seems like everybody woke up. What was it? What made them wake up? So I think about the platform, which anybody can do who has these values. No income tax. That is a New Hampshire thing, although in 2019, when Democrats were in charge of the House and the Senate, they passed an income tax and it was vetoed by the governor. That's the last time they had control there. We doing all right?
Yeah.
No sales tax, well, it includes interest and dividend taxes. I include that as an income tax, and it hits our retirees, and I talk to many of them. No sales tax, that's a given. I had someone recommend to me maybe that just do sales tax through the summertime. I don't even need to explain that mess. No statewide property tax that would cause donor towns who give excess, like Tuftonboro, donate it to other towns who don't have that excess. I talked to Jeb Bradley extensively about this, and he says that was a disaster. We don't want to return to that. It only makes everyone's taxes go up and up and up. Okay. Another thing I stand for, definitely education freedom for all. I'll stand on it. Education freedom accounts have been a fabulous thing for this state. Because a lot of parents who open up their bill and they see that property tax and say, wow, I'm not sending my kid to the public school but to somewhere else, and I'm paying for someone else to go to public school and not for my own kid. I got to pay double for education. A lot of people blame the education freedom accounts for taking away money from the public schools, and that is erroneous. I've talked to people all the way up the chain in Concord to find out what the real answer is because there's so much being thrown around. And the answer is it is not. You have to do your own research and your own homework on it. And sometimes you have to cross the aisle and talk to people in the know and not just who we want to listen to. I also believe home education needs to be guarded and protected at all costs. It is the primary education, and it has been since the founding of New Hampshire. Everybody home educates who has a child. Everyone, regardless. In our family, we say, everyone, we educate all the time, and sometimes we're in the classroom. Education is always happening in homes. And we need to protect parents to make sure they are able to guide
their kids and what's best for them. I also think that boys need to stay out of girls' locker rooms and girls' sports. That's the old New Hampshire way, when we knew when boys were boys and girls were girls. But there's more. I shared in Wolfeboro that one of the things and themes I heard a lot when I'm talking to the locals that you don't hear in letters to the editor and you don't hear when you are at council meetings because everything's about policy. But when you get to the heart of the matter, in Wolfeboro I heard often, we're losing our trust. There are many who benefit from eroding the public trust to play the perpetual agitator, to always be standing up with the particular trends of the day rather than the deeper principles of neighbors locking arms together for liberty and goodness, knowing that we have to duke it out life together rather than duking it out with each other. Public trust. That's what I hear. In Tuftonboro, you know what I hear? It's a good example is when I was sitting in the general store, because I do a lot of office hours where people can just come in and talk to me. I say, hey, let's talk. She came in and she sat down and she says, what does liberty mean to you? What does it mean to you? Like, I have no idea who this person is. I know liberty, for some reason, gets a really bad rap among a great many people. It's almost become a swear word to some, liberty. The opposite of liberty is slavery. I said, what does it mean to you, ma'am? She goes, it means the government is not involved in my life at all. I moved from Massachusetts and I don't want it coming here. I heard that a lot in Tuftonboro. I moved from Massachusetts, I don't want that coming here. So you have to have a strong principled foundation to stand on liberty and goodness to keep that from happening in New Hampshire. I want New Hampshire to stay in New Hampshire. I do. You know what's often not asked? Well, often not asked when it comes to candidates. What would you do in a time of crisis? What would you do in a time of crisis? We experienced that 5 years ago, 6 years ago. It's interesting how we all respond when there's crisis. And it's amazing how many different excuses we use, whether it be safety, or medical, health, or whatever, to trample the rights, the unalienable rights of our fellow man. For me, it is all about the unalienable rights, so that good people can run without having the heavy hand of government or people who would bully them from getting in their way. That's what I stand for. My name is Dale Fincher. And thank you so much for your support. Question?
I had heard that you had lived on a boat for a year with your family, and you have recently moved back into Carroll County. How long have you been in Carroll County?
In Carroll County, I've been in Carroll County for a year.
For a year.
Mm-hmm.
And you're entitled to run for...
According to the state constitution, by the founding fathers in New Hampshire, I meet every qualification. And if anybody wants to change the constitution in old New Hampshire, then they're welcome to do so. But I meet those qualifications now.
Are you going to continue educating your kids at home?
I do educate my kids at home. I've been doing it for 10 years. Absolutely. Because it's the best fit for them.
You don't care for the public system?
You're not allowed to film, I'm sorry.
It's being filmed anyways.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay, go ahead.
So, you talk a lot about liberty.
Yeah.
And so, but I'm not Katie Patternell, Representative Patternell has scored an A with the New Hampshire Liberty Alliance. What rating do you hope to achieve?
I have no idea. We'll have to wait to see what they say. For me, Kayla, right? Your name's Kayla?
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice to meet you.
For me, it's about being a leader and standing on the principles of the Constitution. Whether any other lobby group likes it or dislikes it is irrelevant to me. It doesn't change my position, doesn't change my views, doesn't change how I treat people. So, Liberty Alliance, give them their best shot. I don't really care.
Hi.
Yeah.
Could you please discuss your thoughts about the most recent Supreme Court decision, Cromwell, regarding public education funding, and share with us your ideas of what you would bring to Concord to align and make us compliant with the Supreme Court decision?
Sure. Well, the Supreme Court decision did not actually give a deadline of when the state had to do it. So compliance is forever what it is.
It's been 30 years, though, since, you know,
Oh, you're going back to 1990. Right. So I think it's up to the people to actually think through whether the Supreme Court got it right. If the word cherish for 200 years suddenly had to change in meaning to duty? That's a question for the people. And when I talk to a lot of people, people don't realize that that's what's going on. Now, I'm not saying that's how I interpret it, or I'm saying the Supreme Court is wrong. I'm saying that it is messy water. What this is my experience right now is what I'm hearing chatter about. Now, what am I going to do about it? Education is not an area where I'm like, oh, I have to get involved in all of that. As a freshman going in, it would be about learning and understanding all the different committees and how things are working, but bringing the principles to it. If we continue to push the state on education, if we do, we run a real risk that the state will just take over education.
They already are. I mean, they're
I saw a school board presentation up here, and the district is still run by the district. Other questions?
No. You have one there?
You said you should have to be 25 to buy a gun, is that true?
No.
Okay. My bad.
Thanks for an easy one. I appreciate it. Any else? Yeah.
Yeah, so every time somebody uses a voucher or homeschools, you have
Yeah.
another set of parents
Yeah.
who no longer have a vested interest in the public schools. Can you explain how that strengthens the public schools?
Yes. The word voucher is actually not the word for it. And usually when that word comes out, it kind of tips the hand of where people are getting their information. It's a grant. It's Education Freedom Account grant. So when the way that the state funds the schools is they fund it per student. So when a student leaves the school, the school no longer receives that portion for that student. Now that student could move out of state. A student could be homeschooled. A student could do a whole lot of things and not get an Education Freedom Account grant at all. So it doesn't take away from the school. It's the leaving that takes away from the school. Now, the alternative to that is forcing and demanding all students to go to public school.
That's what they do in Finland.
And the Finland doesn't have a Declaration of Independence, thankfully. We do. Are we good? Anything else?
All right. Well, David, you're
All right,
not
thank you very
sound,
much.
but if you want to interview, talk to Damon Steers and Dr. Foy, you can talk off the record. So, or not off the record, but out of here. Better run, Damon. He's leaving. Any other candidates that I missed tonight?
Can I just make a plug that the supervisors of the checklist, there is nobody running for a 6-year term. Supervisors of the checklist are the people who you register to vote for, you change your party, all of that stuff. If anyone's interested, give it a try.
Can I just point out that the supervisors of the checklist actually get paid?
Yes.
And if there's a vacancy at moderator, they appoint the new moderator.
Just in the same vein as Jen's comment, David, our third selectman, his last year would be this year coming up, is going to resign as of 12/01 on town meeting day. So whoever you elect for the 3-year position that I'm running for, that person in Podbury will have to pick a selectman to fill that role that David Dauphin is leaving. It's a 1-year term. I think between Bob and I, we've kind of agreed that it needs to be a process. We need to announce what's happening. And anybody that wants to try out being a selectman needs to come in and talk to the board after.
That's a good point. There will be a couple openings that nobody's put in for one case, or there will be another opening. So certainly if you have an interest, reach out to, in that case, the selectmen, and the other, write in. That's what you have to do. Yeah, go ahead, Gary.
Just, when you were speaking, alluded to the fact that there is a slight difference between the budget that the budget committee is recommending and that the selectmen have recommended. And so this year at town meeting, the there will have to be some effort to reconcile, which may be by an amendment from the floor or some other means. In line with that, our town meetings generally have a few hundred people. And it's been said that it's hard to get good town representation with such a few amount of people. So in view of the fact that this year we do have some reconciling to do, and that in previous years we've had just a small percentage of the total population attend town meeting, I would like to urge all of us to attend town meeting, and if you want to recommend to your friends and neighbors that they come to town meeting, it will be important this year, and it is important. So that's my message. Aside from that, I want to assure you that between the selectmen and the budget committee, this town is in excellent hands. The budget deliberations are earnest and they're frank, and I do believe that they get at the core of the business that the town needs to have taken care of. So hope to see you all at town.
Good with that, because I'm not running again, and I don't expect a big write-in, because I won't take it. That'll be my last as moderator. I decided that I wasn't quite as retired as I thought I would be, and it's not a lot, but for a short period of time, it's like this last week and this week coming, a couple weeks is a busy time. I have to get some stuff prepped and meet with the town clerk to make sure we have our ballots in order, and I've decided not to run again because I just wasn't. If I had more time, I would have run again, but I decided I just didn't have it in me because of all my other commitments. So thank you for electing me, although I was the only one on the ballot. So, and I would note that I had the lowest count of anybody that was. I think there was a message in that too. But thank you. Thank you for everybody coming out tonight. Quite a turnout, and I think I count probably close to 70, 80 people here. And probably good that the fire department isn't here to count heads and check our occupancy. Thank you.
See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. How are They know the
Nobody from Tuftonboro could ask.
I had one question. Walking road all my life.
You have to look online, go to the Tuftonboro
bald guy who was like a demonically angry guy.
I gotta go grab my phone. It's on the.
Your what?
My phone is on the table over there.
Over here? Okay, you go grab that.
Quick thought, not to work on anything, but I just want to say hi.
So obviously that's